Right now, it's no secret that the average woman is not attracted to the average modern Christian man that's walking around. And in today's video, I'm gonna explain the reason why most women are not attracted to modern Christian men, but I'm also gonna be giving you 3 actionable steps to help you to reclaim your masculinity and also become the godly, direct Christian man that Christian women will find irresistible. I think this goes without saying, but this video is important. It's gonna help you in your dating life, and I highly suggest that you watch this video all the way till the end. Now, reason number 1 is the modern Christian man is feminine. Now, there's one concept that I need you to understand, and it's called polarity. And the idea of polarity, especially within a relationship, is that in a healthy, God-fearing, God-honoring relationship, you're gonna have a masculine man and a feminine woman. And so the man is gonna be the leader of the house. He's gonna lead, he's gonna direct, whether that's spiritually or in basically every facet of the relationship, the man is gonna be the one who's in control. And the woman is gonna be feminine, she's gonna submit to her husband, right? But the woman is also gonna play a pivotal role. It's not like they're not equal to one another. The woman is gonna be taking care of the kids, and she's gonna be serving her role as the mother, the nurturer, the caretaker, right? So she's gonna take care of the house and all the responsibilities that come along with raising the family, right? So the man goes out, he works, he leads, he guides, he protects, he provides, and the woman is gonna serve her God-given role as well. And so a healthy relationship looks like this: masculine man that serves his role and feminine woman that serves her role. And anything other than this does not work. A lot of guys fall into the mistake where they become very feminine, and the woman, as a result of this, becomes masculine. She has to fill in for the man because he's fallen short in so many different areas. He's passive, he doesn't have a good relationship with God, he's not a leader, he's indirect, he's a failure, right? And the woman has to step up and start making decisions for the family and leading, and she starts to resent her husband because she's having to do not only her role, but also his role, right? So this is what a lot of modern relationships and modern men and the way that they live their life, this is what it looks like. The man is weak, he's feminine, he's soft. And believe it or not, this is not the way that God designed things to be. There's a reason why so many modern women, even Christian women, would rather date some alpha male like Chad, degenerate type guy who may not even have a relationship with God, because they see those masculine traits that he's exhibiting. He's very direct. He does what he wants. He has a plan for his life. He's focused, he's driven. And it may be in worldly pursuits of making more money or worldly success, but she can see the masculinity just exuding out of his body. And they would much rather go with him than some dorky, nerdy, feminine Christian guy at the church who's super passive and indirect and can't even look her in the eyes. Modern Christian men, because of the way that they've been raised, where most of them are raised by their mom, or they don't have a strong, masculine, godly dad in their family, or they go to a church where the pastor is also soft and feminine. These guys are not being raised to know how to act like men. They're being brainwashed by Disney Channel and all of this propaganda that's instituted by feminism in our society that's just in shambles to program men to be more like women. Like, really take a second to think about the last Disney movie that you watched, where basically every single storyline is about some kind of romantic relationship where the nerdy guy is like obsessing, borderline stalking this girl that he has a crush on. She doesn't even notice him. She's always dating the Chad, like jock guy. And the nerd just kind of sits back and just wishes and prays that the girl will finally notice him and that he can win her over. And all he does is obsess over the girl and the relationship and getting the girl. And that's all he cares about. He has no purpose. He's not masculine. He's not driven. The way that Disney brainwashes you is thinking that that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to just put all your eggs in one basket and solely focus on making the entire purpose of your existence getting a woman and getting the pretty girl. In every single movie, the nerdy guy ends up winning the beautiful woman over, and they spend the rest of their lives together, and everything ends in sunshines and rainbows. That's not actually how reality is. And a lot of guys learn this lesson way too late in their life, where they spent their whole life thinking that all you gotta be is some nice doormat. It's a lie. These women do not want some nice, passive, soft, feminine guy. They want a strong, masculine, godly, Christ-centered man. So don't listen to Disney Channel, listen to God and his word, because he tells you everything you need to do to actually become centered on Christ and become the man that he's created you to be. Reason number 2 is the modern Christian man is too passive. This past weekend, I spent some time with a girl that my brother was talking to and a bunch of her friends. We ended up going to an ice cream shop, and I was sitting around a table. There were a bunch of random girls from different churches around me, and I just decided to start asking them questions about their dating life because I was just curious. I started asking them about their experiences in church with the men that go to their church. How was it? Are you meeting a lot of guys? Are you going on dates? Like, what does that look like? Out of the 4 girls that were around me, every single one of them answered this question the same. They said,
man, there are guys that I think are attractive, but none of them ever take any initiative and walk up to me and introduce themselves. They'll just kind of stare at me and don't say anything, and they're awkward or they're weird about it, and it just seems like none of them have any balls.
And it was so interesting because they all said the same thing. They said, they give these guys signs, they look at them, they try and put themselves around the guy to get him to notice them, but they're not going to make the approach. They're waiting for the guy to step up and be a man
and say, hey, what's your name? I noticed you. Hey, I think you're attractive. Hey, I'd like to get to know you more.
But because these guys are so feminine, so passive, they're afraid of taking the first step or making the first move because they're scared of getting rejected. And so now you have entire church congregations around the US and around the world where everybody's single, everybody's dating life sucks, and everyone's struggling to find people to date because both sides are feminine and passive. And both sides are expecting the other side to make the first move. And because the men aren't making the first move, nothing happens. In Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 5, it says that a man takes a woman to be his wife. Takes, right? Active verb, not passive. It's not a man sits around and prays that God may possibly bring a woman to his parents' basement. Finding a wife takes action. It takes a man stepping up to the plate and putting himself out there and risking the possibility of being rejected. You cannot just sit around hoping and praying that one day God is going to bring a woman straight to your front door or down the stairs into your mommy and daddy's basement, because it's never going to happen. And I'm not a go cold approach every single woman that you see whenever you're out and about. Like, don't force anything. But if you're at church or you're at a gathering with some friends that are all believers, because you can only date a Christian if you're born again Christian. If you're a born again Christian watching this video, you can only date another Christian. What I am telling you is, if you see a girl and you can tell that she's interested in you because she's looking at you, or she's giving you the choosing signals, or she's putting herself in your vicinity a lot, you need to grab your balls and introduce yourself, especially if you're attracted to her. For the most part, women are not going to make the first move. And oftentimes, a girl could maybe not even be that attracted to you initially. And if you walk up to you and you show some balls and you put yourself out there and you risk being rejected in front of people, or even just one-on-one with her, she's going to respect you a whole lot more than the guy who is attractive, who just sits there and kind of like stares at her out of the corner of his eye, or like the second you make eye contact, you like look away and you're like,
oh man, did you see me?
That is not attractive at all. Be a man, be direct, and you need to become socially calibrated to be able to pick up on those choosing signals. An important part of being able to pick up on the choosing signals that a woman may be displaying towards you is actually sharpening your discernment and becoming socially calibrated. And if you need help with being able to do that, I made a video that fully breaks down 5 signs that a girl is interested in you. If you need help with sharpening your discernment and becoming socially calibrated so you can pick up on those signs, go ahead and cue this video up. Do not click off of this video right now and destroy my data analytics. Just watch this video after you finish watching this one. The last thing I'm going to say is, do not be passive. Being passive is a sin. It was literally one of the first sins committed by humans when Adam and Eve were in the garden together, and Eve was deceived by Satan and ate the apple. A lot of people don't realize that Adam wasn't out in the forest by some other tree minding his own business. He was standing right by Eve. And so he literally watched Satan tempt her. He watched her be deceived, take the apple out of Satan's hand. He watched her eat it, and then he just sat there while she ate it. And then he ate some of it himself. And instead of being a masculine leader that he was called to be, that he was created to be by God, he stood idly by. Eve literally destroyed everything for the rest of us. So don't be like Adam. Be a man. Take responsibility and be the leader in every interaction, especially whenever you're with a woman. Reason number 3 is most modern Christian men do not have their life together. Have you ever noticed that women will often end up dating men that are much older than they are? I remember so many times being in high school and having crushes on these girls. There would be girls that were like barely 18 years old that were in my grade who I would find out that they started dating another guy who didn't go to our school because he was a 28-year-old grown man. And I remember back then wondering, like,
why is she dating a grown man? She's barely 18. Like, what's wrong with her? That's kind of gross, isn't it? She's like dating someone that's almost her dad's age.
And it just didn't make any sense to me. But now, with the wisdom and the knowledge that I have, I realized why that was. And it's because those grown men actually had their life together. They most likely had a job. They had facial hair. They were masculine. They had money coming in. And that's why they found so much security and they were so attracted to these guys, because they were much older, much wiser, and much more mature than the average guy who was also in their class in high school, right? The average guy who's walking around, even the average like Christian man who's in his 20s, still resembles like a 17-year-old little boy. They've got no facial hair, they've got no job, no money coming in, no plan for the future, no purpose. They don't know what they're doing. Most of them just spend all their days playing video games and sitting inside. And they're addicted to pornography. They live with their mommy and their daddy still, even if they're in their mid-20s. And there's so many guys in my Discord who have no money coming in. They're grown men. They still live with their mom and their dad in their parents' basement. And they're sitting there asking me why women don't think that they're attractive or why they don't have a girlfriend.
I'm like, buddy, would you want to date you if you were a woman?
And a really big part of becoming more attractive is becoming more godly. And a big part of becoming more godly is working, and working very hard. The Bible says in Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, that we are called to work heartily as unto the Lord and not for men, which means in everything that you do, when it comes to your work or even your school and your studies, you need to be working your face off. Picture that you're working for God, like that God is your boss, not the person who's maybe your teacher, your professor, or your employer. You need to be working for God. Like, how much more effort would you put into your studies, your homework, your job if God was your boss instead of the person that's sitting up there teaching you the class or handing out assignments or giving you work to do at your job? You'd work way hard. You'd be showing up early, you'd be leaving late, you'd be putting in extra hours. You'd be thinking,
what do you need me to do, God? Like, I'm here, I'm ready to work.
and as humans, we were created in God's image. And didn't God and Jesus both work? Jesus was a carpenter for over 30 years, and God worked for 6 straight days whenever he was creating the entire world, and then he only rested on the 7th day. So if the creator of this universe and the Son of God both worked very hard, doesn't that mean that you and I need to work very hard as well? Like, a lot of you watching this video really need to get your life together. There's a reason why women don't find you attractive. And a simple checklist for you in order to know if you're actually ready to date or not is, do you have a car? Do you have a job? Would you be able to pay for dates and actually pick the girl up in your vehicle whenever you take her out? Do you have a purpose? And most importantly, are you prioritizing your relationship with God in the way that you should be, right? If all 4 of those boxes are not checked off, then you're not ready. And it would make sense why women would not be attracted to you. You need to create a life for yourself where a woman would desperately want to be a part of your life. If you're sitting around and you still live in mommy and daddy's house and you play video games all the time and you're broke, like, does that sound like a life that a woman would want to be a part of? Like, what are you going to invite her to do? Go play Mario Kart or eat some Cheetos on your mommy and daddy's couch together? Like, it's just a joke. And one other thing that you need to realize is that God designed women in a very specific way. The reason why women are not attracted to a lot of men is not their fault. A vast majority of men, like I said earlier, are not men. They're like little soy boy feminine guys. And God designed women to be attracted to masculine men and for the women to be feminine, and everything works together. But when all the men are feminine and all the men are soft and all the men are weak and they're not prioritizing their relationship with God, then no Christian women are going to be attracted to that. And this is key. As a man, you should always be in a position where you take responsibility for things that are not going the way that you want them to in your life. If your dating life sucks and women aren't attracted to you, you don't sit there and blame women and say,
man, they should like me. They should like me for my fat rolls and the fact that I have no money coming in. She should just accept me for the way that I am.
that's BS, man. You need to take responsibility. You need to stop playing the victim, and you need to make some changes in your own life so that you can be attractive to women. Because I promise you, if you don't make any changes, nothing is going to change. You will stay single for the rest of your life. Believe me. And I don't make this video to condemn you. I make this video to call you to a higher level in your life, because that is where you belong. If you want to learn more about how to improve your Christian dating life, I want you to go ahead and click on this video. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that God blesses you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.